And we're recording.
Joe, should I get started? Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Before we begin, I'd like to seek a motion for approval of the minutes from our last meeting in January. Could I get a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. When I was writing the agenda for tonight's meeting and I noted that a trustee on the Board of Education, my friend Mickey Kapoor, is going to talk about our search for a new superintendent, I got such anxiety. I don't want to search for a new superintendent.
Either do I, everybody.
Thankfully, we have many months before we lose Dr. Roy Montesano, and he's here with us tonight. Please put any questions for him in the chat. And Dr. Montesano, can I pass it over to you?
Thank you, Alana. Thank you for your kind words. And Mickey as well. I appreciate that very much. And Bronxville is near and dear to my heart. I've loved every moment I've been there. Well, almost every moment I've been there, I suppose. But it's been a great place, and I still have some time left. So thank you for that. Good evening, everybody. Just a very quick and brief update on things. As you know, we went maskless in our school, or mask optional, I should say, in our school. And people have been kind of anxious about, the infection rates and things like that. And I will tell you that so far it's been pretty. We've been pretty good with children not getting infected. I think this week we've had a total of 8 students and 1 staff member who have tested positive. 1 at the elementary, 1 at the middle school, and 6 at the high school. And as a result of our testing, we still do testing, and I would really encourage anybody who's concerned or anxious about COVID to sign up for our testing if you haven't already. And as a result of testing this week, we only had 1 person who was a staff member who tested positive. So I think all in all, we've been doing pretty well. I would also say there's been a few changes that I know that Rachel Kelly has been communicating about some of the changes in protocols and things since masks are optional. And just so you're aware, the close contacts are now considered 6 feet distance apart from somebody who's exposed. And while the close contacts no longer have to quarantine, we do need to require those who are exposed to wear a mask for the 10-day period in school, although they can still come to school even if they still have to wear a mask even if they're asymptomatic, but it does require us to do that. So, it's nice to finally see kids smiling and happy and seeing their expressions. And I think all in all, everybody's handled it really well. We still have some students and some staff members who continue to wear their masks, which is absolutely fine. And I will say that I'm very proud of our students for not making that an issue for anybody. We were concerned that some people might be called out because they had masks on, and our kids have really risen to the occasion and are doing quite well with it. So we're pleased about that. I know that Mickey will be talking about the superintendent search, so I'm going to allow him to do all that. But unless there's information, I would just end by saying we have our upcoming board meeting in March 24th. And at that time, I know there will be 2 things that of interest for you. Might be other things, but at least 2 things of interest. One is an update on the superintendent characteristics as presented by the search consultants, but also the budget will be presented for the first time to the public as well in a form that's acceptable for us. So you might want to pay attention to that. We are going to continue, by the way, for our April break. That'll be in about a month. We are going to distribute the rapid tests again to all students and staff members, and hope and encourage people to do a rapid test when they come back from their vacation. Just again, another layer to keep us as safe and give us as much information as possible. But that's really it for me. Our boys basketball team is playing in a championship game tonight. They won the sectional championship and they're on to the state semifinal. So we're rooting them on, and currently I know they're winning by about 18 points or so. So we're going to encourage them to finish. So all good. So Alana, unless there's something else for me, I will pass it back to you.
Roy, I just have a really quick question for you because I've heard it from other parents. And you've explained it before, I think, but if you wouldn't just mind quickly reviewing it. Say a child is home with another, they don't have COVID, they're home for another illness. Why can't they join their class by Zoom?
Yeah, somebody did actually reach out to me with that very same question. And, it does present issues for teachers, for kids who are signing in on a kind of temporary, if you will, basis, a 1 or 2 day type illness. We think that if they are sick enough to be home, that they should be recovering and not worry about schoolwork for those 1 or 2 days. And again, it does present some challenges for our teachers as well. And so when we did this originally with COVID, we felt very strongly that, we learned, it was a positive thing. We learned how to do this at home for kids, which was terrific. But we had some people, I'm sure none on this call, who probably want to take advantage of the ability to have their kids Zoom in from time to time for vacations and such. And we don't want that to start happening. But it did raise the issue if a student has a contagious disease where their doctor is requiring them to stay home and in fact be quarantined, if you will, we will reconsider that. That makes sense to us if it's a longer term illness. If it's a 5 to 10 day period when the doctor says they have to be home for, I don't know, pick a contagious disease, then we certainly can make those exceptions. It was never intended to be so absolute zero, if you will, but we'll make exceptions when the time comes for those who will be out for longer periods of time. But we were trying to avoid the in and out 1 day, 2 day, 3 day events with children because of the stress it puts on the teacher in the classroom, as well as we think that if a child's sick like that, they should be home and recovering.
That makes sense. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you have another commitment tonight. We wish you a good evening.
Thanks, Alana. I appreciate it. Have a good night, everyone. Unless there's a question.
Bye.
Great. Thank you.
As I mentioned, we're lucky to have Mickey Kapoor here to tell us about the Board of Ed search for a new superintendent. Mickey has kids in 3rd and 5th grades, and another who'll join the school down the road. And this is his first year on the school board. Mickey, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity to spend some time with you. So first of all, thank you for getting ahead of the mass choice issue. I think it was because of the PTA and the work done by members. Milano, thank you. I read your work and it was compelling. And I thought a lot about it. And before that, I was kind of like, well, does it matter? I mean, kids are wearing masks, we're being extra precautious. I didn't realize all the downside that it was causing. So nice work, everybody. And it's great to see when the PTA can cooperatively work with the rest of the community to get ahead of these sorts of issues. So nice work. So I wanted to talk today about the search for Roy's replacement. There can never be a replacement for Roy. He's incredible. He's done such a nice job. The board is so sad to lose him. The school is sad to lose him. Everyone is. He did spend longer than I thought he would here. When I first started interviewing for the Board of Education, now almost a year and a half ago, we were all afraid he was going to leave, pretty imminently. And the reason was he has, like he says, lots of personal stuff. His wife is retired. He has grandkids. They've got a place in Florida, and it's time to slow down. So we all knew it was coming. We got a little more out of him than we thought we would. We're going to end up getting about 5.5 years. He's done an exceptional job, but now we've got some big shoes to fill. We've hired a search firm, the same one that found him, and it's called School Leadership. School Leadership's a really prestigious firm. They've got a great reputation out there. They have led national searches for great schools all over the country. So we feel lucky to be able to get them. We interviewed 3 different search firms. The 4th actually didn't respond. So we're not sure, maybe they were just too busy, but we interviewed these 3 personally between members of the board, and School Leadership came out on top just because they have the best searches. They could dedicate a lot of time to us. They've got a really great reputation. Superintendents really like them. So now I've got I don't know what's the right word, an appeal, perhaps request to the PTA here, which is that the next step in the search process is that we've all got to now give input. And we've tried to open the aperture to make it really easy for people to give input and have access to sessions. So we've got 4 virtual sessions and 4 in-person sessions all starting next week. And those sessions are meant to get community input, parent input, input from administrators, teachers, everyone, students, anyone who wants to provide input should. And school leadership is trained in knowing how to run these sessions. And we've got 8 of them. And so we've got a virtual one, we've got a in-person one, and then if you can't do that, we've also got an online survey. So in the event that people can't attend those 8 things, we're still making it hopefully easy for people to provide input back so that we can incorporate that into the search specifications. The next step is they'll go out to market and start talking to a bunch of superintendents. We've been told that some of the superintendents actually will likely be in a good position and aren't really thinking about moving, but when they hear about Bronxville, they might. Bronxville is a special place, and Roy was the first to tell us that, you know, the call, when you get a call about that, you listen. And so I think we're going to be able to get someone just as special as Roy, hopefully, fingers crossed. And post that, we'll start interviewing them as a board. And we do that confidentially. And the reason for that is because these people who are raising their hand and saying, look, I'll learn a little bit more about Bronxville, also want to make sure that they're not rocking the boat at their home at their schools. And so what ends up happening is they ask us to do this in a confidential way. We'll interview a few of them. Hopefully the school leadership can sift it down to 6 or 7, and the board will spend some time with them. We hope to have this wrapped up by the end of summer or the beginning of fall. We're lucky. Roy gave us almost a year's notice. That's really unusual. What's typical in the market tends to be about 6 months. So we've got till January 1st, 2023 to figure this out. And now what we need is a lot of input from the community. So I'm telling everyone I can, and if the PTA is comfortable doing it, let's spread the word. We'll be putting out another email tomorrow where you can click through and join and sign up for a virtual session, or click through and sign up for an in-person session, or even do the survey. That email will go out from all 3 principals tomorrow. So thanks for listening to me, guys. If you've got questions, let me know. Happy to answer any of them.
Mickey, there's a question in the chat. Do you see it, or do
Okay.
you want me to read it?
Please read it. I don't see it.
Yeah. How was the trustee for superintendent search selected?
Someone inform me what that is. The trustee for the superintendent search. I'm not sure what that means.
I'm not either. Michael,
Yeah.
do you want to join our conversation here and ask your question directly? I guess so. Okay, we can move on.
Okay. Well, if it's a question around who picked the search firm, it was all of us. We all interviewed a bunch of the search firms, and all 7 of us then agreed on which one to pick. We put together notes. We made those notes public, actually. So you see a lot of this in the public documents. And here's the note. How did the search committee, sorry, I can't read the rest of the note.
Yeah, no. How did the search committee in the school get selected?
Okay, got it. How did we select our current search committee amongst the board? So it's the search committee is Sue. Sorry, it is myself. It is the chairman of our board, Arlene, and it is Jack Beerworth. So Jack has a lot of previous experience. He's a superintendent from a previous school, and he's done a lot of this for a lot of years. So we thought we could really use that experience. Arlene's been on the board for 6 years. She's chairperson of the board, and we thought we could use that experience as well. And I'm not quite sure how they picked me, but I was there, and we're all looking for, every one of us is constantly raising our hands to do more stuff on the board. So I tried to help here. And then what we did is we split the search firms amongst us, and we interviewed them, took a lot of detailed notes, put it on Google Docs. We all then spent a lot of time talking about it. So the 7 of us did it together. I came in saying, look, I don't have a extremely strong view on my firm, but let's hear out the others.
Thank you so much, Mickey.
You bet.
Okay, thanks for being here and all you do.
You bet. Thank you. Thanks for giving me the time today, guys.
And now our principal, Mr. Joe Mercora, has a great presentation for you about everything from something new called the Happiness Committee to how 5th grade is such a meaningful year for our students. Joe?
Thank you so much, Alana. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us tonight. We know it's a busy time of year and there's a lot going on. So thank you for this time. Just wanted to say that a couple of weeks ago, we welcomed everybody back from a well-deserved February break. As we enter the month of March, just to be advised for those families who have children in grades 3 to 5, this is the beginning of our testing time, and we're very confident in our students that they're just going to do fantastic on the state tests that are coming, because they do such a great job all day long, and so do their teachers. But we'll be sending more information out about state testing. The ELA test will be given during the window of March 29th to March 31st. We have some great school-wide initiatives going on this month. In keeping with our monthly themes, the month of March is all about innovation, which, as you know, is one of the cornerstones of the Bronxville Promise. And one of the ways we kicked off Innovation Month was by having some makerspace opportunities outside at recess for our children. And I'm going to just share a few pictures with you because it was a real hit right away. And the kids got very involved, just constructing different things. And I had students come up to me telling me about how they were creating better piping for things to drain. And I had students with, because they had experienced some rain and some flooding and, over the break. And they were just giving me incredible ideas that they have. And that's what innovation is all about. As you know, it's the opportunity for students to take risks and to create and learn things. So we are celebrating innovation this month with all of our students. We want innovation. Makerspace is fun. That's why it was outside at one of the fun times of the day, which is recess. And as you can see by the small turnaround with some of the pictures that we took, these were the early days of it, and the kids were loving every second of it. It was hard to get them to look up because they were busy doing what they were doing. And it has been wonderful, just to reiterate, to see their smiling faces and to see the respect and love that they have for one another in respecting each other's decisions. We have some great collaboration that I wanted to speak about. One of the things I've always loved about Bronxville is that we are in one giant building together, and we have the opportunity for students to learn from their peers. And we've been partnering and will continue to partner with the high school on a lot of initiatives. And one thing I wanted to share with you is the food scrapping collaboration. So I met an amazing student in high school that got a grant through the Bronxville Foundation about food scrapping. And one of the great things that we wanted to take to the next step this year was to teach students to have a better understanding about what it is to recycle and the importance of recycling and working with one another. So why not team up with that great environmental club at the high school? And the collaboration will include in the next month a conscious effort to recycling food scraps. The students are going to receive hands-on experiences from their high school peers, and the culminating experience will occur at our April 22nd B3 assembly, which is also on Earth Day. So we're looking forward to working with our high school students on a food scrapping collaboration. I see Ms. Gold in the audience here tonight, and I just wanted to give all props to her and Alana for this idea of the Happiness Club. What does every parent want for their child? They want them to be happy, and so does the school. And what this is a wonderful collaboration of a group of parents that are we're asking students for what do they think will make this school an even happier place. And as you can see by the early onset of it, we also have had this available at recess. And when the weather hasn't been that great, we've had it in our cafeteria. And students are actually writing down things that they believe will make the school that much more of a happier place. And our teachers are even writing things down about it too. And we're going to be taking a look at these now because we've had this will be 2 full weeks where we're out. And we're going to see what the students are saying and see that student voice and see what we can do to make some of those dreams come true for these students. But this is a parent-driven initiative. It came to my attention about a month ago. I'm all for this, and I've shared it with our staff as well. And we want to just thank the Happiness Club for existing. And we're looking forward to the Happiness Club really going full steam ahead here as we get towards these latter months of the school year. Tonight, specifically, I was asked to kind of speak to you a little bit about a very important grade that whether your children are in kindergarten or in 4th grade, They'll be going to fifth grade one year. Fifth grade is a true year of transition for all students. And I really want to highlight to you some of the things that Bronxville does to really prepare students for middle school experience. There was a phenomenal book written a while ago called Turning Points 2000, and it was all about the importance of middle level education, middle school, and how do you prepare students for middle school? Well, one of the best things that they could say about middle school, the best middle schools run on a teaming cycle where there are different teams of different students, and there's a group of teachers that get to know those students very well, so that students are definitely the center of, a group of teachers' existence in middle school education. So one of the things that students do not get a lot of experience with in elementary world is transitioning from with different teachers. They get different teachers for PE, they get different teachers for art. Bronxville, they get them for science. But in terms of subject level, they do not get those people. They do not get them in their experiences working with other teachers. So what we do in the fifth grade is to see that a little bit and do departmentalized team teaching. It provides that smooth transition. So everybody knows what it's like in fourth grade. It's one teacher. The students are in the room for all their main academic subject areas, and that's where they stay. They remain with those same group of students all day long. In fifth grade, we still have them remaining with their homeroom in terms of the classmates that they learn with, but different teachers in different rooms for different subject areas. So just to give you a good example, we have a great fifth grade team, and a big shout out to Miss Jeremiah, Miss Figueroa, Miss Collage, Miss Engelhardt, Miss Payne, and Mr. Myers for the hard work they do. But just to give you a little example of what that looks like in fifth grade, that's different than fourth grade, is we have a team that's Miss Figueroa and Miss Collage. So Collage will work with all of the students in those two classes on the subjects of social studies and math. So if you're in Miss Figueroa's room, you're going to go into Miss Collage's room and get your math class. To Miss Collage's room and get your social studies class. And if you are in Miss Collage's class throughout the day, you're going to switch into Miss Figueroa and get her for your ELA, because she's going to teach the ELA for those two groups of students. So it gives them that opportunity to learn an academic subject area from a different teacher in the course of a day. And it also gives them that opportunity to switch. Now, another big transition that normally happens between fifth and sixth is learning how to manipulate, use lockers. But in Bronxville, students get lockers as early as that one's never a problem. The only thing they learn how to use is locks and things of that nature. So there's a lot of great things that happen. And as they move to sixth grade, as you know, if you haven't experienced it yet, they'll get a different teacher, different classrooms for every subject, and different classmates for each class. So what fifth grade does is a real good little introduction to what middle school could look like. In fifth grade, also, we really up the responsibility more. It's gradually is happening as the kids get a little older, as our students get a little older, but it's about taking ownership of your learning, identifying for students to be able to identify a little bit their own academic strengths and the challenges that they have, and to really get them to used to a schedule for the day, assignments, get responsibility for instruments, their own snack, and even making sure that their own homework is done. And we set this up by giving them some nightly homework. We certainly don't overdo it with homework at night with students, but we try to give them some gradual homework every night to get them used to getting homework and making sure that they're exposed to long-term assignments, making sure that they're taking responsibility for tests and quizzes, and predominantly working with independent reading. And again, an emphasis with math, reading, or writing, sometimes some social studies, but much more with the math, the reading, and the writing. Here's what a typical sample schedule could look like. Same as your children in all grades, the classroom doors will open and morning announcements will be made. They actually have their specials this year and in a lot of other previous years, and we don't anticipate it changing. They have their specials in the morning. So they get to come in and they go into the classroom, they check in with the teacher, talk about a little bit about what the day may go, and they're off to specials. They enjoy their specials in the morning. Then they come back to class from about 9:20 to about 12:10, and they're not just sitting in the same room. They're switching, they're taking different classes, they're working with teachers, different teachers, one of the two on their team, and they're getting a great experience. They then go to lunch and recess. They then go through their I block, an intervention block. Then from 2:05 to 2:45, back in homeroom, and then dismissal at 2:50. Just to talk about what intervention block, there's a lot of movement happening with iBlock. Everything from band and orchestra lessons, pullouts for support services. We're very lucky to have Mrs. Clark and Mrs. Burns working with the students for support services, skill reinforcement, small groups, support conferences. And then in the classroom as well, students that are in the classroom, they could ask questions about their homework from the teacher. Long-term assignments could be looked at. Student requested support. Students could advocate for themselves with their teachers if they need extra help with something, unfinished daily work. And then, working on some writing, which is so important as well. So a little bit more freedom and a little bit more of shaping your day a little bit. As we mentioned with all the grades, there is a math in 5th grade. It's Singapore math, that's our math units of study. And again, there's that emphasis on building mental math strategies and number sense, problem solving. And what's very impressive with the students is the multiple strategy approach to problem solving, where they learn to solve problems using different strategies and then able to express the particular strategy or why they're more comfortable using one strategy over. They use written and verbal communication using math vocabulary, hands-on experiences, concrete to the pictorial to the abstract, and understanding, obviously, of mathematical facts. And it's like there's your concrete, there's your pictorial, and there. In terms of reading, interpretation book clubs, complexities of nonfiction, raising the level of interpretation, literary conversations about writing about reading. And I have to tell you, those conversations are so rich to hear and watch, and they do such a great job doing it. Everything from reading and content areas, how key events shape things in our world, and fantasy book clubs, etc. Our goals are for students to read 25 books, read books from a variety of genres, reading and writing, volume, and stamina. There is homework each night, and brief homework assignments pertaining to reading or writing. Writing, we have students, everything from small moment stories, journalism, literary essay, research-based argument essays, writing fantasies. The idea of the writing process as they get ready for middle school is to continue to build stamina, improve organizational strategies, make those meaningful revisions, and build skills in editing, peer conferencing. 5th graders do a great job, and I can't tell you how proud I am to see the work that they're doing. This is just a good reminder that a parent brought up. If I would remind everybody tonight that daylight savings time begins this Sunday, March 31st. So please turn those clocks forward and spring ahead. But I just want to say in general, how proud I am of all the students and all the work they're doing, and their resilience continues to be on display. And I see my good buddy there, Dr. Vistola, in the audience that's going to speak a little bit more about that as we move forward. But Alana, thank you so much. And I see some questions in the chat, and I'm happy to, anything I can do for you guys, let me know.
Thanks, Joe. That was so great. I think it's so cool how much thought our school puts into the 5th grade year. So I really appreciate you sharing all that.
Thank you.
And I think we're all set on the questions in the chat for now. So you're off the hook.
Okay. I'm here if you need me, guys.
Okay. It would not be a council meeting without our very own Dr. Joyce Vastola telling us the latest from the CARE program. I needed to remind myself of this today. CARE stands for Community Awareness, Relationships, Empathy. What's more important than all of that? Dr. Vastola, can I pass it over to you?
Yes, thanks. Hi, everyone. And I just want to add a few points to what Joe mentioned about middle schools. Some of you may know that I've spent prior to this 25 years or so as the middle school psychologist, both here and before that at Ardsley. So I love middle schoolers. Not always easy to parent, but just incredible energy and thinking and emotion. There are 2 books that I think really help parents understand what they go through. One is called The Primal Teen, and that book is really an explanation of the very significant brain changes that your kids go through through these years, which help explains a lot of their seemingly unexplainable behavior. And the other one, which I absolutely love, is called the age of opportunity, meaning there's so much to be gained and to celebrate during these years. And it's really helpful to parents. And finally, for those of you who have fifth graders, please try to avoid the M word. Well, when you get to middle school, well, you're not going to be able to do this in middle school. It's like, it reminds me of when I was growing up, the old wait till your father gets home, as somebody to be feared when the garage door went up. Try not to use the M word, because their anxiety about middle school is starting now, right? There'll be more to follow. I do want to report, and thank you, Joe, and thanks to Roy for echoing this as well. The kids did really well with the transition to mask optional. We talked to them about it, and I attribute that to two things. First of all, the teachers, and through CARE, we talked a lot to them about what optional meant, about freedom of choice in this respect. And we even, if they volunteered, we even checked in with the kids who chose to wear masks. How is it going for them without putting them on the spot? And I have to say that and this is the second reason it went well, because our kids, look, your kids are invariably going to say things that make you cringe sometimes, but in the gestalt, your kids are respectful, they care about other kids' feelings. And when I asked I asked them, well, how do you respond to somebody who's going to choose to wear a mask? I mean, they were on target in every grade. So that has gone really smoothly. Next, I just want to tell you a couple of things that we've been focusing on. From grades 2 to 5, I've started to introduce lessons on the brain for them to understand what the brain is and how to take care of your brains. And I encourage them to go home and quiz their parents on some of the things they've learned. Are you smarter than a fifth grader? The other thing that we've been focusing on this week is distractibility. So they've been doing drawings of what are inner distractions and what are outer distractions. And really, I'm normalizing distractibility, something we all have. In fact, I shared with them an example of, this is a true story, you won't be surprised, that when I was in first grade, the teacher didn't give me a mark in reading because I was talking too much. They were like, whoa. And my father was a school principal. So I want to normalize it for them, and so they don't feel like they're that kid who just can't concentrate. And then start to make a list of what skills help you not to be less distracted. And then finally, the state assessments are coming. Your kids always want to do well. They're anxious. I mean, it's just a fact of life. I'm really pleased the teachers prepare them, and at the same time, there's not a frenzy about how well they will do. But that being said, because many of them haven't had the experience, or let's face it, had a relatively watered down experience last year, they don't know what to expect. So I'll be working with them on what we call cope ahead skills. How do you start to handle a situation that is coming up and is challenging? So that's what we're doing in CARE. Yeah, I love to see their smiling faces, and they're so excited. Well, the mat, it's kind of loud, I must admit, during lunch, because they're just so excited to be next to each other and talking to each other that their exuberance is amazing. So that's what's happening. Any questions, comments?
I have a quick question.
Mhm.
And maybe it would this would be something that would come up with the older kids, but when there's a global crisis going on, like what's happening in Ukraine, are kids bringing it up in school? Do they have questions for you? Do you hear anything in that?
Well,
domain?
interesting you should say that, because in the 5th grade, they've brought it up. We were talking about, when I asked them, what distracts you internally? And some of the kids said World War III, what's happening in Ukraine, and the way we tried to deal with that is first, always validate. Of course, that's scary. Yeah, it's on a lot of people's mind. I get that. And how can we find out more about these worries? I encourage them to always ask parents questions, and also monitor how much news they're watching, because there are some pretty gruesome and disturbing images out there that I don't think they necessarily, it's just too frightening and stimulating to them. So it's important to talk with them about it, but at the same time, monitor how much they're going online or, watching CNN for that matter.
You
the
anticipated a very thoughtful question here. How much is too much to bring up with our kids? On one hand, we want them to know how fortunate they are and the struggles of others, but on the other hand, you don't want to give them anxiety, right?
Well, that's exactly right. So I sort of treat this like, let the witness lead you, right? You see what they bring up, see if they, and also monitor their emotional, sort of functioning, if you will. I specifically did not bring that up in class, right? Oh, by the way, and Mara has sent out guidelines to all teachers about how to handle these discussions in a developmental way. It only came up in the 5th grade, but it's like give the discussions about the facts in life, be guided by their questions, but less is more sometimes. Yes, it's unfortunate, you certainly it's important to give your opinion about what's going on and reassure them that we live in a country where we are safe. They're, that they a lot of them don't even know where the Ukraine is, right? It could be New Jersey for all they know. So I think let their questions guide you. Let's see. Could we see those guidelines?
Joe, could we make sure that Mara's guidelines get out to the elementary school community?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mara's been on it with the teachers. In fact, she has a curriculum leaders meeting tomorrow morning. Yeah, and the way it's being addressed is in the elementary school. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but we see what students bring up. And
yeah, in the elementary world, we react to what the students are saying, give them reassurance that they are safe where they are, that they're safe in their school and they're safe in their homes and they're safe in their environment. And we respond to them just to answer their questions in a way that's reassuring to them. We answer if there are questions that we do, and if it's something that we feel, and we haven't had this, but if we feel like it's something that a child is genuinely scared about something, whatever, of course we would always inform the parent and let the parent know this is what your child is, whatever. It's natural. Kids are watching the news, and it's just important to kind of monitor at home what news they're watching and making sure that they're not getting too much of it. We still want them to be, aware, but we want them to still be kids, and we want them to always know that they're safe in what they're doing.
Yeah, and your point about they're coming home with information, because kids, your kids are very aware. They talk to each other. So many of them have older siblings at home. But yeah. I have to tell you, I do care rotations. I had from grade 1 in kindergarten, we're still doing, scenarios about how to use your wise mind, right? But from grades 1 to 5, they were filling out I gave them a sort of an outline of a person, and they were writing inside what distracts them inside and what distracts them outside. Well, the number one thing that is on their mind is their siblings distract them, right? But no one brought up COVID. No one brought up the situation in Ukraine. It was more of the everyday mundane things that make it hard for them to focus. But that being said, there was one fifth grader in one class who brought it up, and we addressed it, but we didn't linger. And that student seemed satisfied. And then, your students, one of the things that I love about them is that they listen to other students, and then they'll say, well, just following up on what so-and-so said. No one did that in the room. But I think it's a tragic situation, and we need to continue to monitor our, students' reactions to it. Joe?
Yep, no, I'm agreeing with you 100% on that, Joyce. It's something we always keep an eye on with kids. It's not coming up, in mass or anything like that, but when it does come up.
I think it's always important just to reassure them, that you're there, you'll take care of them, as they see, some of them, images of kids being separated, from their parents. That's the worst fear of childhood, actually.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vestal. I feel like we could spend the next hour kind of going through this all, but I think we'll move on at this point. But we're so grateful for everything you do for the kids, all your work.
And I appreciate all of you. It's great. Thank you.
I have a quick related update for you all from the Be Well Committee, which educates parents about what their children are experiencing in social development and mental health. They're planning a school-wide session with a renowned cognitive behavioral psychologist named Susan Divino. She's going to speak about anxiety among parents and students during these challenging times. Date and more details to come. Now, I would like to introduce our incoming PTA president, not for the elementary school, for the whole school, Amy Kraus. She's an amazing parent volunteer in our community. She's also going to give us an update from the foundation. Amy, can I pass it over to you?
Thanks, Alana, so much. Do you want me to go ahead and give both my updates at once?
Would you please?
Yeah, sure. It's so hard to follow Dr. Vestola, the fabulous Dr. Vestola. So applications, I'll go with the foundation first. Applications for the foundation's 2022 spring grant cycle were due at the end of February, and we received a broad array of great requests from both faculty and students. The board will carefully review the grant proposals and meet to discuss them in the coming weeks. Thank you to everyone who put in applications. The foundation board will vote on the requests in early May. Many thanks too to all of you who have supported the foundation's community drive this year. For those of you who have not yet donated, a follow-up letter was mailed earlier this month, and we hope that you will all consider making a gift. And now on to PTA. First of all, I wanted to invite you all to our all-school PTA meeting, which is going to be on Thursday, March 31st at 7 p.m. at the Bronxville Field Club. Please mark your calendars. Now that we can be in person, we wanted to have an informative meeting for all of our members, K through 12, about what it is that we do as a PTA for the school, our kids, the parents, and our teachers. And then after the meeting, we can then all get together and have a drink and socialize and be together. It'll be a great opportunity for us to come together as a community. So we hope that you will save the date. Also, if you're interested in being involved with the PTA, we're currently looking for volunteers to fill roles next year. There's a link up on our webpage where you can indicate areas of interest and see roles and responsibilities. In addition, please reach out to current volunteers or me or Alana if you have any questions about how to get involved. We'll be happy to get back to you as we begin to gather and assemble our volunteers for next year. And I would be so honored to work with any and all of you and hope that you will consider giving your time and joining us as we plan a really fun and hopefully very connected 2022-2023 school year. Thanks, Alana.
Thank you, Amy. Can you repeat that date one more time for the all-school meeting? There's just a question in the chat about that.
Yes. Thursday, March 31st, 7 p.m. at the Bronxville Field Club.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
I want to briefly talk about an exciting event that Joe and I are working on, something that we hope will become a new Bronxville tradition. It's called Grandparents and Special People Day. It's going to be an experience for the second graders and their grandparents, or any special person who they want to include, a neighbor, an aunt, a parent. They're going to work on a lesson that involves the special person, and then those people are going to be invited to spend time at the school on Monday, May 9th, the day after Mother's Day. We're really excited about it, and we'll be sending out more information in the coming weeks. Now we have two final speakers from the PTA. First, Rebecca Todd, who is kind enough to be joining us from another event in town. Rebecca heroically, like the word is heroically, puts out the elementary school yearbook and has done so for years. She has kids in kindergarten, second, fourth, and fifth grades, and that's not even all of them. Rebecca, over to you.
Hi, good evening. So bear with me as I'm standing on the patio of the field club this evening. This year, I'm excited to do my first fifth grade personal one where I actually have a student in the fifth grade. And so I'm super excited about this year's yearbook because she's had her actual hands in actually picking some of the colors and everything about it, which is super fun. So it's super special to me to have my first fifth grader go through. Next week, everybody will start to get forms for making sure that the names are accurate. So if you have a student that is listed with the school as one way, but you want them showing in the yearbook as another, you'll make sure that you want to fill out that form. If they do not have to have a name change, you do not have to fill out the form. Fifth grade parents, yours is way more involved. We need a photo from you from this year, whether it is them playing soccer, baseball, any sport, any activity, if they love to read or draw, just something that they've loved doing this year. We want a picture of them doing that. Then we want a student quote and a parent quote. The student quotes will be received actually and done at the school. So the teachers will have their hands in making sure that they know how to actually quote a source. So that's something that they'll be able to help them with there. Parents, please make sure that you know how to quote a source. I don't know how many times I actually have to look up quotes. So we want to make sure that we do this right also. So those will come out next week. So please be on the lookout for that. And that's specifically for the fifth grade parents. You also will have the opportunity to upload photos from the last 10 years of any activities in which you have multiple Bronxville students that are currently in the fifth grade. I love going through these photos and seeing what kids were like at the age of 4 that all lived here and that have all played together for the last however many years. If you are new to Bronxville, please send an individual photo of your students sometime prior to the fifth grade. Those will be our looking back photos, and that will also land in the yearbook. And I'm super excited to get this year done. You will only have a few weeks to get this information in. We have found that no matter if I start this in September or if I start this in April, everybody gets it in the last 4 or 5 days. So we're just going to shorten the process, get it done, and get it going. And the book will come out in June on field day. And hopefully in the next week or two, we will also be able to post in the membership toolkit the elementary school book for sale. So you will see that come out soon also. Thanks, Alana.
Thanks, Rebecca. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you.
Okay. We're winding down, everybody. Last but not least, we're going to hear from our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Catherine Kempton is here. Catherine's kids are in 5th and 7th grades. Catherine, can I pass it over to you?
Yes. Can everybody hear me okay? You hear me?
Yeah. We got you.
All right, Tatiana Castro and I are on the DEI committee, and this year we are doing a international fair. And some of you who have lived in the city might be familiar with this event. A lot of city public schools did them, and we are pairing up with the High School International Club, and they are really excited to be a part of it. So they're taking a lead role in doing this event with us. It's going to be on April 29th, which is a Friday. We're still determining the time, and we're actually inquiring about having it indoors because it would really be ideal to be an indoor event. So we have to find out if we can do that. So the International Fair is going to be students from the club, and also families are going to represent a country, and they're going to have a table, and it's going to be informational and about geography, population, different traditions, and it's just very informal. And the kids who go to the fair will get a passport. And so each table that they go to, they're going to get a passport stamp. And then when they fill out their passport, they're able to get a prize at the end, some international prize to be determined. And then we're also going to be having food. So we're going to ask families to, pick a country, and it can be a country that your family's from, or it can be just a country that you're interested in. So the International Club students, we have 6 of them so far that have chosen a country, and they're not necessarily from that country or their family, but they have a great interest in it. And some of them may have, connection to the country. So it's really very flexible and fun. What else is there? So, and we're still kind of in the beginning stages of figuring it out. We might ask a 5th grader to pair with an international student if they want to also give some information about the table too, or the country rather. So we're going to be sending out an email regarding this very soon, and also a sign up genius for who's interested in what country they'd like to do, because ideally we'll have a few families for each table for food, because we're hoping to get a lot of interest and we might need a lot of food. And then also a sign up genius for anybody who would like to volunteer for decorating. And so that will be coming out probably the beginning of next week, that first informational email. And it's mostly going to be for elementary kids, but we're not restricting anybody from attending. So it's mostly geared towards the younger audience though. So that will be fun, hopefully.
Thank you
And
so much, Catherine. It sounds like
You're
you guys have so much thought into this. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it'll be good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for sticking with us on a busy
Alana,
night.
Alana, I have one
Yeah.
one more announcement. Bronxville won 74-53. So
Amazing.
go Bronxville. They continue to keep winning. Great job.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
That's our varsity basketball team, if anyone's wondering. Okay, thank you all so much for being here on a busy night. I hope this meeting got you excited for joyful, more normal days at our school this spring and beyond, and for all the great events that the PTA is working so hard on. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Be safe. Take care.
Thank you.